So this too then is art. 14 absolutely identical posters occupying a whole room. What a shock to walk into this. Why is established controversial David Hockney exhibiting here? When I first walked through this exhibition and came on your pictures, I felt like the Saharan explorer starving for water who suddenly came on an oasis of what I call art. And an awful lot of the stuff I've seen here, frankly, I wouldn't call art. What do you think of some of the more way-out stuff here?
Well, the thing is, as an artist, I'm only interested really in pictures. It's my prime interest. If I made posters, I would want them to be on the tube rather than in an art gallery. Anyway, I'd rather have my pictures, I mean, in a way, I'd rather have my pictures hung on the tube, more people could see them. So I don't really understand why you put 14 posters in a room in an art gallery when you might as well fly post them all over London if the message is important.
But you're dodging the question, you know.
I'm
what do you think of the way out stuff here?
I'm saying I don't understand it at all. I've no idea. I mean, I didn't organize the exhibition. I didn't choose the artists. I'm just saying it's maybe there's something in it, but I doubt it.
What kind of things do you not understand?
Well, it seems to me if you make pictures, there should be something there on the canvas. I don't understand 4 lines of ballpoint pen round the edge of a canvas. I have no idea really what it's about. I suspect it's supposed to be, I suppose, about an experience of looking at some weave.
Am I right in thinking that you have moved a good way out of your early avant-garde approach to art?
Well, avant-garde, I think it was an American artist said the term should be given back to the French army from whence it came. The concept of the avant-garde, in a way, is rather old-fashioned now, so it's a paradox. I mean, the avant-garde is not avant-garde.
The Hayward Gallery lunacies have been called non-art, but I think they're much worse than that. They're phony art. You can condense these two words into one, which is the proper flavor of contemptuous derision, P-H-A-R-T. For the public, fart began a few years ago with the famous bricks at the Tate Gallery. This, please note, is just one small corner of the Tate Gallery, which houses one of the world's great art collections. You have to take your hat off to these bricks, and reverentially too, because they're not just bricks, they're a symbol, a proof, if proof were needed, of the extraordinary forward leap in appreciation of the significance of form and the subtler nuances of artistic apprehension. We ought to be grateful to the experts of the Tate Gallery for the loving care, for the caring care with which they have assembled these remarkable bricks. You might think in your innocence that you could lay them down anywhere, but not so. The American sculpture genius who fathered this carefully numbered each brick. The genius who, it's rumored, for a mere £1,000 suffered for our sake the agony of parting with a unique creation. Not just once. This is his 8th work in brick. Who decided to buy these Carl-Andre exhibits? I asked the Tate's director, Sir Norman Reed.
The two I bought in America, one was the bricks, and the other was the early piece, which is called The Ladder, which was particularly interesting in relation to the Tate, because it was, first of all, it had been lost, and also, being very early, it showed, so to speak, the beginnings of Andre's work, and showed how it related to, well, such a celebrated artist as Brancusi. And this, I think, helps to give the public some sort of way in to works which, in their nature, are very difficult to people who are perhaps used to looking at ordinary representational pictures, or who have perhaps come across from looking at Gainsborough or Reynolds. I mean, in addition, I think we learned a lot from the puzzlement, which happened, what, a year or so ago. And this time, we've tried to put up a little explanatory text, which says, in very simple terms, I mean, none of this sort of art historical complex wording, so that people can read a little about it and get some information which helps them to get closer to the works. I mean, I think it's unreasonable in a way for visitors to expect to be able to come into an art gallery and then understand everything just like that.
What's your reaction? You've studied it closely, have you?
Yes, I've studied it from all sides.
And what do you make of it?
It's a pile of bricks.
Does it give you any message at all?
Not a message, Judge. I guess I keep looking at things. I'm not really. Don't respond artistically that way. I guess I still respond. I guess almost geometrically to these things.
It's difficult to say. It's a part of a history of art. It's part of a movement.
I think they're making fun of us. Seriously, I know people would say I'm wrong. I admit it's my opinion. But I really believe that the person who believes himself that this is sculpture and we should take it as sculpture is making fun of us.
It isn't only the puzzled paying public who are finding that kind of tatery no longer a joke. Some professional critics have dropped down from the outer space of wicked criticism, where words are sounds without meaning, to cry enough. And Giles Ottey echoes the cry for fellow artists in his book, The Art of Self-Deception. I know what the public think about avant-garde art, and I know what you think, having read your book, but how many real artists agree with you?
Well, I think people of my generation, quite a lot of them obviously were influenced by some of the recent movements. But I think if you took artists who are older than I am, particularly, trained artists, people with sort of high graphic skills and so on, I think they're grossly dissatisfied. I think if you took a plebiscite of all working painters in this country on the subject, say, of the policies, the recent buying policies at the Tate Gallery, the vast majority of working painters would be totally opposed to them. And when you couple this to the fact that the vast majority of the public who actually supply the money that's used in the support of the arts are opposed to them too, it seems very curious indeed that this state of affairs has continued for such a long time, and as far as I can see, will go on.
Well, can you explain why it has continued for such a long time?
Really, because the avenues of protest are very, very limited. A critic writing in one of the, let's say, major Sunday papers has a circulation of 1.5 million, a readership of 3-4 million. They're going out to those people every week. You want to make a protest? I mean, maybe they'll print a letter or something. But a letter in a paper doesn't have the same sort of weight of authority as the art critic's column does every week.
I never thought I'd see the Royal Academy beginning to lose its nerve. For generations now, the Hanging Committee for the Academy's summer show have been the most unyielding guardians of accepted standards in painting and sculpture, the kind of traditional art which ordinary people like me can understand and enjoy. A lot of people would tell you that the Academy's hanging committees have carried opposition to any departure at all from accepted norms of subject and treatment far too far. Certainly long ago, many artists came to regard not being hung at the Royal Academy as a prized distinction. But now, come and have a look at this. What can you say when you see a thing like this or other things more or less like it in the show, except that this year's hanging committee must have lost their collective nerve, gone to pieces, victims of a disease very prevalent in the world of art today, funk. Fear of the way out critics. Contemplate this, drink it in, and weep for times past. These should be at the Hayward Gallery, where so many exhibitors are or were art teachers. When you talk about the people who are running the arts, you haven't said anything about the art schools and teaching there. What do you think of them?
Well, I think their whole, I think the majority of art education in this country in the over recent years has been disgraceful. I think the students are grossly dissatisfied with the system. At the end of 3 years, they come away, they've really learnt next to nothing. The original sort of nice ideas, fresh ideas, originality, intuition that they took with them in their first year is usually sort of drummed out of them by their second, by people to whom they have to look to get grants, you know, postgraduate grants, so on, and who will be the assessors of their performance while they're at their college. I mean, somebody of 18 can't really be expected to say to his lecturer, I think you're really talking through the top of your head.
The teaching of art is in a bit of a mess, actually. That's true. It probably always has been. Artists will appear, whether the teaching of art is good or bad, I think. I suspect they always will appear.
But wouldn't you think that one of the first basic functions of a teacher is to teach the techniques?
I'll tell you this, yes, but I'll tell you this. When a few hippies take over a school in East London and do not teach people to read, we immediately know they've made a mistake and they start doing something about it. But when a group of intellectuals, middle-class intellectuals, take over the Royal College of Art many years ago and introduced what they called general studies, which in effect downgraded the act of painting, which is what they were supposed to be teaching. It's taken 15 years for people to begin to see that was a mistake. I told them it was a mistake at the time. I thought it was crazy. It wasn't fair. When you're supposed to be studying painting, you study painting, and you don't have to study nuclear. That one time when I was there, they had you studying nuclear physics for a while. It was crazy.
Avant-garde art. You've seen a little of an awful lot of it, and I'm wondering what you think of it. You know how I feel about it, and maybe you're thinking I've got too steamed up about things that are not important. Well, they're not in themselves, but the disturbing evidence of things gone wrong. A baffled public left avant-gardism to the experts. And look how the experts have handled it. The great galleries supported by public money, our money, and the professional critics, who are supposed to be the intelligent man-in-the-street's guide to the world of art. I think they've been stampeded out of common sense and standards by fear of being labelled not with it Philistines. It's funk money that's channeled down from a buck-passing arts council to the Institute of Contemporary Arts and the like, and to the public galleries, and to the avant-garde artists. I can't make up my mind about them, can you? Are they sincere believers in the significance of what they're doing? Or are they, some of them anyway, experts in codology? But the revolt is growing among artists and critics and public. And the gladdest thought that brings to me, and maybe to you, I would think, is that the day may be coming when earnest young students will no longer be introduced to the world of art by avant-garde artists.